Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Blue Collar Hockey Talk. We got a treat today. We got West Coast Tim in the flesh joining us for a little bit here. We've got Wes Atkinson, myself, Scott Feeney. We're going to go over some games. We've got a win. We've got a loss. We've got Buffalo. Finally. Thank you. We got a couple of this day in history, but I don't want to go over a whole bunch of stuff right now. Click a like, subscribe, because the last video was the top one that we've had so far. So let's keep it going up. Wes, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. I've been loving watching the Leafs lately. You know, it was a tough one against Edmonton, but they still got a point out of it. I don't even think they've changed the way they've played lately. It's just that they're getting the better result, and it's great to see, and it's so nice to have them winning again. How about you, Tim? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good. I think you know what I think the spicy little bit is Matthews. He's found his touch. His wrist is better, and I think he's driving the team.
I guess so, buddy. I mean, like if we could go right into a couple of game reviews here, like let's start with the game against the Oilers if we can, guys. All right. It was a 3-2 overtime loss. Mike Smith, man, 39-year-old man in net, and he's possessed against us, eh? Like, what do you think? Tim, man, you lead us off on this, bud.
So it's funny, like I looked at the Oiler game against Montreal, and they were down 3-0 in the first period. And why is it every team that the Leafs play, we're getting goalied? That every team is stepping up their game to play us. So we need to step our game to play everyone else now.
Well, I think that kind of goes with being first place in the division, right? Like no one is looking past the Leafs right now, so everyone wants to take them down a peg, and everyone wants to catch up to them because we're in the home stretch, man. 20 games left of the season for pretty much everyone, so all these games matter that much more.
Oh, 100%.
In all fairness, guys, I mean, and I don't know if I'm going to say for a lot of people in Leaf Nation, at least the pulse on the forums, what I was seeing, everybody took a collective breath when Hutchison was named the starter for the net.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. I think that he played a pretty solid game, for really to be honest.
Absolutely, man. Like that loss was not his fault. He was there. He did his job. Like the fact that he isn't worth talking about is great.
I'm with you because I'm pretty much done talking about him for a little bit right there. I'd like to point out that was the last time we play against the Oilers. And if you told me at the beginning of the year that we were going to go up against McDavid and the Oilers and we were going to go 6-1-2 over our 9 meetings, I'd sign that form every day. I'm going to miss seeing it. I mean, I kind of wish that they had the schedule spread out a little bit more, but that's a whole other discussion.
We're going to be playing Montreal at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's been like 30 years since we've seen Toronto Montreal in a playoff, so like I want to see it right down to the wire.
And you know what, that Edmonton game, man, it was so awesome to see some of the best talent in the league, right? And that overtime, it was 17 seconds, but it was an awesome 17 seconds. 2-on-1 one way and then 2-on-1 the other way, and it just, man, a skilled player made good, and he won the game. Like, you can't really complain too much about that.
No, there was some slick hockey. I mean, you look at the score sheet, it said all it needed to. Yeah, it was sweet hockey to see those guys go. They were flying each way. Nurse finishing the game. I thought it was a pretty cool moment to see Kia Nurse. The TSN showed that where she reacted to watching watching that game and watching him score, and it was really neat. It was kind of cool to see a genuine moment like that. I don't know. I know they're all just humans, but it was still fun to watch.
Yep. And you know what, too? That wrapping up that series is just great to see that Leafs have put a team in their dust, and the only way Edmonton can pass the Leafs is with help, right? And it would be the Leafs' fault that Edmonton had passed them.
Yeah, and I mean, I love watching. I love watching how Galchenyuk's. He's really given some solid minutes on the ice, eh, man?
Yeah, like
I say, hey, man, I didn't really lead you very well there, but hey, Tim, how about that?
What was I saying last week that they were looking for top 6? Like maybe he's filled that role of top 6. Maybe we don't need that player. Like he surprised me.
Yeah, he's made Tavares look better lately. Tavares seems to have a bit more jump in his game. I don't know, maybe he had a nagging injury or something, but he scored the other day, and also he's had some pretty good looks lately.
Yeah.
100%. And that Hyman line keeps just, Hyman line. I say Hyman line. Whatever line Hyman's on looks great. You know, that's pretty sweet. But let's move into the next game. The next game we had a 3-1 win. We got 2 points out of that, so we got 3 out of 4 points. This was a 3-1 win over the Jets. The Jets, they're coming off a 7-game road trip. Looked a little bit like that in the first period. The Leafs showed up with some energy. We were able to get the two past Hellebuck in the first. Hyman, Matthews, and Marner line. They were dominant, man. Like, what did you guys think? Like, Wes, lead me off on this one, man.
Man, they looked great. Like, they came out of like a cannon, and they were just dominating the Jets. And they are lucky that the Leafs didn't just blow them out of the water in that first period, because the Leafs could have easily had 4 or 5 goals in that first period. I don't know. What do you think, Tim?
Oh, I thought the exact same. I thought they would fully blow them out, but you know what? I was fully expecting a letdown. Like these are my thoughts for the week. I was expecting the 2-goal lead, and what usually happens is they lay an egg. They let us they take their foot off the gas, and what did they do? They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and I thought it was refreshing to see them just keep pushing to put the game away.
Yeah, that was the best third period in a long time, I think. But you know what? That probably has to go with the fact they weren't chasing the game, and for a few weeks there, they were behind all the time, and they had to keep pushing forward and didn't have the chance to defend a lead.
No, and I sort of jump in there, Scott, but like I said before, like I fully think like Matthews being healthy, I think he's been my captain the whole time. He's the driver of the Leafs, I feel. And when he's going, I feel like it goes through the rest of the lineup. And like look where we are now. Like he's driving again.
You know what I love about you, Tim, is that you're able to say something like Matthews is my captain, and really, if anybody in Leaf Nation hears that, you got to know something about Tim. It's not a slight to Varys at all. Do you know what I mean? That's just a huge thing about Matthews. Like, you've always called him your captain since before there was a C on anyone's jersey, you know, and did for the whole year that we didn't have one. So yeah, man. I like that about you. That's all I'm trying to say.
Thanks, Scott.
No problem, buddy. No problem. Sorry, Wes. Carry me away there for a sec, bud.
No worries. Tim, you got any other thoughts from these 2 games you want to talk about?
No, I've already touched on it. Like I'm sort of concerned about the goalie situation right now. Like Campbell's not 100%. Who knows what's happening with Freddie, and are we going to see Campbell on tomorrow night, on Friday? Like, who knows? But here we are, and who knows what's going to happen going forward.
Do you think they should go get a goalie before the trade deadline?
So hard to say. Like, does Freddie bounce back and is okay to be backup? Is Campbell, can he sustain playing every other game and being injured and fighting through it? Because like at the end of the day, we need a goalie that's going to get us through the playoffs. And to be honest, like Campbell he's what, 7-0 this year, like including being injured the whole time. So it's hard to, I don't know.
But if we're to be honest here about this, guys, like the last time, if I'm thinking about this, that I've seen a trade for a goaltender that was to be a goalie to do something and carry you. And like, I mean, I only see right now there being little band-aids out there to carry you to either thinking Campbell's going to get healthy or Anderson's going to get healthy, or both. Because the last time that a team made a big trade, it's like 15 years ago, man. It was when Edmonton traded for Dubnyk. No, Rolison. When he traded for Dwayne Rolison. You know, like that was probably the last time that I've seen a team make a trade and they pulled him from the Wild, right? And he took them to the Cup. You know, and I haven't seen it in 15 years, and who knows when the last time before that was. So I don't know. I have such a hard time seeing a goalie trade. Do you see anything happening on the forward front? Like, if you saw something happening, do you think that there's going to be a move? We got like less than a week, man.
I see something happening. It's
Maybe
so
a little more
hard
than
to
a
tell
week.
now. Yeah, maybe, but it's so hard right now because, like I said, Galchek's filled that top 6 role. Do you need bottom 6? I don't think so. I think all lines are rolling right now, right? Do you need a D? I don't know. I like our D. I like our goalie. I think it's a small ad right now to be like looking forward.
Well, that's the thing.
What do you
right?
think happens here, West?
You know, I'm it's the NHL is one of those leagues where it's a copycat league, right? And look at what happened last year near the trade deadline. Tampa Bay, they went and they made some pretty big trades because they were so disappointed with what happened the year before against Columbus, right? I'm pretty sure they got Bogosian off they just picked him up because Buffalo bought him out, and then they also got, was it Coburn off at the end of, like, that's a big trade too, man. Like that was like a first round pick, so they really like changed their team to become a playoff contender. And the thing is, like, it's so tough this year because we're playing the same teams over and over again, and they're all kind of similar where they're all skill first. Like Calgary's trying to play the rough game, but they don't have the skill to back it up, right? And like, we don't play Boston, we don't play who else has a rough game? Like, we don't play the Rangers, we don't play the Islanders, we don't play these teams that are kind of like built for the playoffs. So it's really hard to say like what the Leafs need to succeed in the playoffs this year, right? Like, it's tough to think like they need a grinder. We got Simmons. We need veterans. We got a bunch of them. Like, I don't know. What do you think, Scott?
Well, and Tim, I know that this is blue collar hockey talk, and you're the man of it. Like, I know that you got kids you're going to try to get back to. So I'm going to make one more point, maybe let you comment on it, and then we'll see where we go from there. But the power play. If I'm to talk negative about anything on this team, is I have no idea how we're getting all these points and going over after over after over on the power play. And when I watch the power play, I think to myself, if I'm to add, this is a year where you gotta go for it. And if you're able to get better, then get better. And it's not because you need to, but if you can, friggin' do it. And I don't think you have to subtract a lot to do it. But let's say what we've always said is something that we need to work on. Let's call toughness. And along with a tough defenseman comes sometimes a solid point shot. And maybe it would be nice to have a cannon on the blue line for that power play. And that's no disrespect to anybody on our team, but we really don't have a big cannon. We got nice shots, like some guided shots, but we don't ever see point shots. So, Tim, defense, point shot. That's my take for trades, but nonetheless, take her away.
Oh man, I don't. To be honest, I don't think it's a big trade. Like the power play was rolling before Simmons got hurt, before Matthews got hurt. These things were rolling. We were just dominating. And back to Wes's point, like, what do we need to go through to get through a couple rounds? Like, these are the teams we're playing right now to get through a couple rounds. And I think this team is more than sufficient to get through. I think I think everyone needs to be healthy. The team needs to get their swagger back. I honestly, my big thing right now is I think it's just adding around the fringes. Add around the fringes, support the core, support the players, and I think you'll see something we haven't seen in a while.
Well, Tim, I thanks you very much for being here. I'm going to ask you the last thing. Leafs and Jets on Friday night. Who's taking the game?
Oh, Leafs, always.
Always.
Always. I think the Jets are gonna come out firing given last night's game, but the Leafs are starting to get their swagger back, and I think we're gonna see a good game.
I hope you're right, man. It would be nice to take another one against the Jets because, like I said earlier, we have 20 games left, and 5 of them are against the Jets. Like, that's crazy, and we have 6 against Montreal. So like, the schedule is what it is, but it's staggering to me that we have that many games against 2 teams. And so these games are important.
Yeah, exactly. Every game is important. Every point is important. So no more losing points.
Yep.
Tim, buddy, I thank you very much, man. I look forward to chatting with you during the next few days, probably after this show, and we'll see what's going on in the game tomorrow night, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, Scott.
That was kind of cool, man. I like having Tim on the show, bud. It's pretty refreshing to have West Coast. West Combe. Sorry, bud. There's no comb over there. I'm just kidding. West Coast Tim in the flesh. We got some news and notes I want to talk about, Wes.
Yep.
Let's start with Freddie, man. I hear he's not going on the road trip, and they're going to reassess him next week. So when should we be concerned about this injury?
I think we should be concerned if they say he's out for the season. That's when we should be concerned. Like, honestly, with Campbell and even with Hutchinson, as long as they're healthy enough to keep going, keep it going, man. Like let Anderson take his time. I want him to come back 100%. If that costs the Leafs some games in the regular season, fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I can understand that. The only thing that I get worried about is that Freddie's a slow starter.
Yeah.
So, like, if he comes out of that, is he going to have to kind of catch his groove because he needs to play a lot to get into a groove? Or does he come out flying? Who knows? Freddie's a good goalie, man. And like we said before, the worst case scenario, like if Campbell can hold down the fort with Hutch and they're playing well, worst case scenario, Anderson comes back and he's healthy and he gives the net back to Campbell. That's worst case scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's let him get healthy. I don't get super concerned. I kind of do because we got a goalie that's 7-0, but seems to need to take a couple of days off after a game.
Yeah.
And Freddie's hurt. I don't want Hutch in the net, and he's played great. His numbers are good. I'm not bashing him, but my confidence in the man is not there as a Leaf fan. It's just not. I cringe. I get a little uptight when they cross the blue line. He's in the net, and I can't help that.
Yep.
Same as Anderson was for most people over the last 4 or 5 starts of his.
For sure. I think the reality is, though, man, like the people that are crying out for the Leafs to get another backup goalie just for the time being, when's the last time a team won the Stanley Cup with a capable third-string goalie? Like, it just doesn't happen. Like, you need your number one, and you might need your number two for a few games there, but generally, like, you need your number one goalie to be the guy to get you the cup.
I agree. And I mean, no, I don't care about having the third goalie. I'm not looking for a goalie trade. And if I really hope that we come to the realization that maybe we don't need to. But if Anderson's out for the rest of the year, then they can put him on the LTIR, and that'll free up some space and make trade deadline day pretty damn interesting.
Exactly. And then the thing is, they could pick up a goalie with a significant cap hit because he's just leaving. Like, he's gone at the end of the season, right? And I think if he is injured for the rest of the year, I don't see them re-signing him.
I don't see them re-signing him even if he's healthy, man. I've said it the whole time. Like, I just don't see it. Like, the numbers are declining. I don't know why you'd want to hitch your ride onto that continuing. Again, I think he's a good goalie, but I think Father Time is, and he's not old, but I mean, the numbers are showing that it's going where it's going. And I want to have a team that's contending for a cup, and I just feel like that needs to have somebody else next year. I'm comfortable with him getting healthy and maybe getting hot to play for a contract to play somewhere else next year.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, how about we move on to some COVID news, eh? The Montreal Canadiens finally came back from their 10 days off, and they actually came out flying, and they beat the Oilers 4-0 the other day. And 10 days off and coming out beating the Oilers, that's impressive.
It is. And I mean, like, look how they came off on their week-long break before. Like, I mean, hell, they got their coach fired, you know? So, like, this was a much better start. I wasn't sure how they'd come back, but they're looking pretty snug and cozy in that 4th spot with all their games in hand, don't they?
Yeah, they are. And speaking of that, too, I think they're going to be catching up because the Vancouver Canucks, they've just had their games postponed through April 6th because of COVID. So things are going to start to even out a bit more in the division. So this next week for the Canadiens is so important. They can either run away with the playoff spot or else they're going to allow the Canucks and the Flames right back into it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And this is an important stretch for them. They need to keep winning. I thought it was going to be a 3-horse race, but they're trying to make it sure that there's the 4th horse. And it feels like they're holding up there. I'm looking forward to later in the show. Stay tuned, folks, because we'll talk about what maybe those 4 teams look like in the first couple rounds. But whatever, we'll get to that.
Yeah. The last thing I want to talk about, the Buffalo Sabres have snapped their 18-game losing streak with a 6-1 win over the Flyers, man. That streak matched the longest skid in NHL history set by the Penguins in 03-04. Can you believe that was the Sabres' first win since February 23rd?
Wes, you know, I feel like the entire hockey world took a collective sigh of relief.
Yep.
I don't think anybody was taking any joy in what was going on. Like, we were talking about it a lot, and I'm pretty happy that you're not going to hear much more Buffalo stuff, hopefully, coming up here, other than I don't want Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that I felt really bad when they were playing Philly after losing their 17 in a row, and they went up 3-0 after the 40 minutes. And I sent a message to you and West Coast Tim, and it said, I hope I don't jinx them, but Buffalo. And I wasn't following it. I wasn't watching the game or nothing. And then you sent me a message. They lost 4-3 in overtime.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What happened? Holy smokes.
You
So
know,
thank
that
oh,
collapse was like leafish. You know what I mean? Like giving up 3 goals in the third period and losing in overtime. It was
yeah, man.
it was unbelievable to see what was happening on Twitter that night because like people all over the hockey world have been tracking the Sabres just because of how bad they've been, right? And hopefully the only reason we're going to talk about the Sabres from here on out is for trades, right? Because everyone's going to just take whatever skill is available on that team for whatever they can. But man, I am so happy this streak is over just for everyone's sake.
Me too. Me too. It was just the burning fire that we had to keep talking about because it
Yeah,
was like, holy smokes. I didn't enjoy it, but I had to talk about it because it was happening. And
right.
now it's not happening. So that's it. Last time you hear from it.
All right. Speaking of trades, just want to let everyone know the trade deadline is only 11 days away, and the Leafs only have 5 games between now and then. So things can change a lot in 11 days.
And we got 5 games to try to score in a power play, bud.
That's God, they better get that evened out. Well, right now, so the standings in the North Division, man, we got the Leafs winning it. Then they have the Jets, Edmonton, and Montreal. Man, the other teams seem to be so far out of it. I think these are the 4 teams that are going to make the playoffs. What team do you want the Leafs to avoid going into the divisional playoffs?
I didn't have to think too long about this, and I think it really comes down to just I don't want to be witnessing history by playing against Connor McDavid.
Really? Okay.
Out of those teams, I would love to be a part. I don't want to say that we came this close to being able to play Montreal in a best of 7. I want to play Montreal in a best of 7 because that will be it'd just be awesome, man. It'd just be wicked. I've been wanting to see that since '93,
Yep.
and before that, and we've been robbed ever since '93. So I'd like to see that. Winnipeg, I think, will play us tough, but I think we could play Winnipeg and beat Winnipeg. Connor McDavid will get on the grand stage and try to light the world on fire, and I don't want to have to be saying, hey, I mean, we got pieces to contain it. We've done it so far, but players are able to notch it up so much come playoff time, and the best players in the world can really ramp it up, man. That's why you see so many famous names winning the Conn Smythe. They're able to turn it up, and I don't want to watch Connor McDavid do it against the Leafs. I don't want to try to have that conversation because I think that would be a really hard series.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, I definitely want to see them play the Canadiens. It's hard to imagine they haven't played the Canadiens since 1979, and that was in the Stanley Cup quarterfinals. Like, it is crazy to think that hasn't happened. As for a team to avoid, I want to avoid the Winnipeg Jets, man. They seem to be able to play the Leafs tough. Like right now, the record against the Jets is 3-2. The goal differential is 1. The Leafs are winning it by 1. So razor thin. When it comes to Edmonton, it's the regular season. We won the series 6-1-2, man, and we outscored them 31-19 in the series.
I just believe in the law of averages way too much, man. I feel like those are great. Feels awesome. We need the points going into the playoffs, but the playoffs is just a different beast, man. And I mean, it's funny because a hot goalie, you don't want to run into him. And if you ask me, who do you want to play, Smith or Hellebuck? It's like, well, I guess I'd rather play Hellebuck. But
you'd rather play
I
Hellebuck?
guess I meant to say I'd rather play Smith. I guess I'd rather play Smith. Sorry, I confused myself. I'd rather play Smith, and that would probably be right. But Connor McDavid, I give him so much respect that there's not too many players in this world that I put right up there with a hot goalie, and I think it's more likely to see a out of this world Connor McDavid, and you're probably going to see a lights out Hellebuck in the playoffs. But I think that's almost like a lesser two. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's going to be a wicked playoff rounds. That's what I do know.
It's crazy to think how much has changed because not too long ago, man, Carey Price was considered far and beyond the best goalie in the world, and we're both like, yeah, let's bring on the Canadiens. Let's see how it goes because we can beat the Canadiens, and that's tempting a bit of fate when you come to going up against Carey Price, who has won in the playoffs.
I don't really want to say, hey, bring on Carey Price. I'm more saying I want to play the Montreal Canadiens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to tempt fate on that. I don't want to do that because I'd have to knock on wood real hard. Ask Pittsburgh and Sidney Crosby. How did it work out last year in the play-in? I think Carey Price stood on his head for a few
Mm-hmm.
games, and they got by them, and they shouldn't have even been there.
Yep. And that's all it takes in the playoffs. You need a hot goalie, and I think this is the whole thing about the North Division, right? For a while, everyone was saying it's an easier division, blah, blah, blah. There are some highly skilled players at pretty much every position in the North Division. It is going to be a tough out of whoever comes out of the North Division. Like, they're going to go through some really high-quality teams.
Winnipeg might have the best coach on the whole division. Do you know what I mean? Like who would have thought that you're going to drop a 40-goal scorer in Laine? And I mean, for Winnipeg, he's doing jack in Columbus. But yeah, I mean, he's a Jack Adams front runner in my eyes. You know what I mean?
Yep. Winnipeg,
I don't know.
You know what? Earlier with Tim, we were talking about teams that kind of grind it out and are built for the playoffs. I think Winnipeg is really, really built for the playoffs, man. And I did pick them as my sleeper pick to win the division and as my Stanley Cup final winner because I think they are ready to take a next step and they shouldn't be overlooked.
I'm not really overlooking anyone. I'm trying not to. The one thing that I was excited about the whole time when we were going into this is that we're going to have competitive hockey, rivalries being built. I think that the first two rounds, we have guaranteed unbelievable hockey. And I just hope the Leafs get as far as we possibly can so that I'm cheering Leaf hockey in round two, maybe further than that. You know, regardless, this road to the discussion of how do we face up against teams, the American teams, those other four teams we had this discussion about right here. That's going to be a tough battle in the first two rounds.
Yeah.
There's no easy path, man. There's not.
No, definitely. And man, I can't wait to keep talking about this as we get closer and closer to the end of the season. 20 games left, man. Like, this is when all the sports shows, they have that big screen with the countdown and games in hand and all that stuff. It's all scoreboard watching from here on out, man. And I love it. I love this time of year.
Me too. I mean, now is when you start getting the fringe fans. They're paying a little bit more attention.
Yep.
You know, and I get phone calls from friends that are like trying to get caught up on what's happening in Leafland.
You tell them to watch our show.
That's it. I said, hey, be one of the subscribers. We need some more subscribers. Share the damn video so we can get more eyes on it. Tell a friend. You know anybody else? I don't care. Do it. Grandma?
Exactly, man. Well, how about we move on to this day in hockey history, man? And you got one for us, eh?
I do. If you don't mind me leading off, March 29th, 2001, 20 years ago. So if anybody wants to start thinking, I've been following the Leafs a long time. Maybe you remember this. You had Bob Cole hollering out, watch the lawsuit, Ty. You know, it was the game in Philadelphia where the fan, he was squirting over, or you had Ty that was squirting the water bottle over top, and the fan, he fell into the penalty box, and you saw that little scrum, man. Like, that's 20 years ago.
That's crazy, man. Like, I remember that happening. Like, I remember watching that game and having that happen. And it's like Ty Domi was a Leaf 20 years ago. And now his son plays in the league. Like, that makes me feel old. I don't know about you.
Oh, big time, man. Like man, it does. Like, I can remember that plain as day, and it was 20 years ago. That is... That's wild. And my girls, you know what? 7 and 9, they're going to be able to remember stuff too that's happening this year, just like we remember that kind of stuff. And hopefully we can just keep building this Leaf memory and Leaf Nation in my brain.
Yeah. I got another one that actually happened today in hockey history. In 2008, I had to bring this one up. The Buffalo Sabres became the second post-1967 expansion team to win 1,400 games. And who did they beat? The Toronto Maple Leafs in the shootout at the ACC. So, like we said before, I don't want to talk about Buffalo too much more throughout our show, but I got to give them props for that. And, you know, it is what it is, man. I remember those years, Buffalo would crush Toronto. Like, it was just demoralizing, man. When the Leafs were going through some dark days, Buffalo, didn't matter if they were a good team, bad team, Ryan Miller would always play well against the Leafs, and we would find ways to lose, man.
He was a leaf killer, man.
Yep.
He was an absolute leaf killer, and I remember Vanek scoring on us a bunch, like they had some deep rosters, and Lindy Ruff, he had that team playing on firing on all cylinders
Mm-hmm.
for a while. You're right. Looking up at the standings, Buffalo was always a tough matchup, and you knew that it was a tough matchup. Hell, Wes, who are you kidding? We had a lot of tough matchups back then, but Buffalo
True.
played us like they were a really great team. So I really shouldn't really say that. That's kind of a cop out.
They were, yeah, and they're not anymore. That's what we just need to talk about. How about we just talk about an upcoming game? You asked Tim this. How do you feel about the Leafs go against the Jets tomorrow night on Friday?
I like the way they're playing.
Yep.
I like the way that I can. It's only a matter of time until the pucks start going in on the power play, and if they keep getting their chances on the power play, and Matthews is playing on fire, that top line's playing great. Campbell, if he's able to be in the net again, even if he's not, even if we have Hutchinson in net, I'm not going to change my opinion on this. I think the Leafs are going to have a great game. 2 points for us.
Yeah, I give Winnipeg a lot of respect. I don't know if it'll be 2 points for us. I can see it being a close game. I want the Leafs to win and create that distance they had before in the season, beginning of the top of the division. I really, really hope the Leafs win. It all depends on who's in net. In my mind, Campbell needs to come back and have another great game.
And I haven't seen any updates on Wheeler, but they might be without their captain too.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. One thing you mentioned there, the power play. How do you feel about the penalties being called lately? I feel like the refs are really letting them play, and I wonder if this has to do a little bit with the Tim Peel stuff, man. It seems that they're letting some stuff go where I'm just like, that's a clear penalty, and it's just tough.
The league must have had some serious damage control to deal with in the back rooms, because you're going to have there's a brotherhood, right? Isn't there? In everything, there's a brotherhood in no matter what profession's going on. So you're going to band together because you have to protect your own. It's probably something that one ref has said, something that every other ref has said. It just got caught on a microphone, and it is downright important because the league needs to have full integrity to get into Vegas.
Yeah.
Like we said, it's all about the gambling. It's all about the gambling. They didn't fire him.
No, they didn't.
They didn't fire him.
Yeah.
He's got his money. He's got his pension. He just now loses his honor because they needed to save their own integrity and put his on the wall and
you know what?
be on it a little.
For our next show, I'm going to go over a few days worth of games, and I'm going to go over the penalty numbers and just show how many times they're within one or two of each other on each team, man. Because, evening out, it happens all the time in hockey. All the time. And, it is so odd for one team to have, say, 6 power plays and the other team to have 2. It's usually 3 and 4 or 4 and 4 or 2 and 2 or 1 and 1, man. But I feel like since this Tim Peel thing happened, you have to take someone's eye out to get a penalty.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, we didn't even talk about the $5,000 fines out of McKinnon and friggin' McDavid, but what a joke.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. Those are jokes. Like you said, that's changing the back seat of your car for those boys.
Yeah.
Oh, well. We missed the boat on talking about this one in length, but geez, I think you can get the point as to where I'm feeling about it.
Yeah, $5,000 for these guys, whatever, man. It's not much to do about anything for them. And the helmet tossing thing, I found that more funny than anything when McKinnon did that, and he didn't do it to hurt him. He clearly did it out of anger. Yeah, it's just kind of, it is what it is. But I think that's all I have to say tonight. Do you have anything else you want to get off your chest before we get going?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything else to add here, Wes. I am solid, man. Go Leafs, go.
All right, well, if you like what you see and what you hear, subscribe, follow us on Twitter @BlueCollarHT, or email us at bluecollarhockeytalk@gmail.com. And as we always say, go Leafs, go.